Hi everyone, welcome to Indeed Live. We're here today because there's a lot going on right now, and we want to connect directly with you because we know that many of you have had your jobs impacted by COVID-19. There's a lot changing right now, and so we're going to be checking in here to give you real-time information on job search and other resources to help as we all navigate this moment together. So here's what we're going to be covering today. I'm going to talk about COVID-19's impact on the job market, how to search for a job in this climate, how to think about transferring your skills from one job to another. And I'm going to wrap up by pointing you to some additional resources on Indeed that you can access and answering some frequently asked questions. So before I leap into that, I'll just share a couple of quick pieces of information. First, a quick disclaimer. The information in this video is for informational purposes only. Indeed is not a career or legal advisor. So with that out of the way, I should introduce myself. Hi, I'm Abbey Carlton, and I lead our social impact work at Indeed. So in that role, I work with a team, a global team, to address bias and barriers in hiring through product innovation, partnerships, and work in our communities. Thanks so much for joining me today. Second, no need to take notes. We are going to make this video available after we're done with the live stream. It'll be on YouTube. You can go back and reference any of what I've shared then. And then third, feel free to ask questions as we go. I have a lot to share today, so I'm not going to be able to get to those questions live, but we have our Indeed moderators who are going to be going through answering some of your questions. They'll do that both during the live stream and then after we're done. And also, we're going to be taking a look at those questions to really try to understand what is most interesting, what is most relevant to you in this moment. And we're going to be coming back next week and in subsequent weeks to talk more about those topics. So please put your questions in the comments and we'll make sure to get to them. So let's take a moment to talk about this moment that we find ourselves in. Our current global situation is difficult and unprecedented and uncertain. And job search right now is certainly not business as usual. Different countries are at different stages of the COVID-19 crisis. Singapore, for example, is starting to see the beginning of a recovery. People are gradually starting to go back to work. On the other hand, in the US, we're really just beginning to experience the full impact of this situation. Chances are, if you are watching today, your job has been impacted by COVID-19 in some way, and Indeed is here to help. One of the questions we've been hearing a lot these days is, what is COVID-19's impact on the job market? I am not an economist, but I have found it helpful to hear how our chief economist, Indeed's chief economist, Jed Kolko, describes this moment. So let me share with you here a quote from Jed. Jed says, "COVID-19 is, of course, a health crisis and an economic crisis all at once. It's very hard to make any predictions right now on what the economic path really is. Some people have tried to compare it to the beginning of previous US recessions, while other people point to similarities with wartime, as some sectors close down and others expand. Still, others have pointed out that in some ways, this may be like what happens during a natural disaster, like a hurricane. Many people are out of work, at least temporarily, but ending in a fairly strong, quick bounce back." What Jed's words reinforce for me is that we're still quite early in this crisis. There are some clear economic impacts. We've seen events canceled, businesses have had to close temporarily, and with that, we're seeing hiring freezes and layoffs. But the long-term impacts are really just too hard to say right now. We just don't have enough data yet. We're figuring it out together as it develops, and we'll be here to keep having that conversation with you as we learn more. That said, if you want more information right now on what's happening in the US job market, what's happening in global labor markets, I really urge you to go to www.hiringlab.org. So Hiring Lab is the place where Jed and our other Indeed economists are sharing real-time information on what's happening in the labor market. Go there, check that out, and you can learn more about what's happening both here and around the world. However, you may be affected in this moment. Indeed is here to help. Our mission is to help people get jobs, and that mission has never been more important than it is right now. So many of you are asking, how do I approach a job search right now? And the good news is that there are many employers who are actively and urgently hiring in this moment. I'm going to share with you at the end of the live cast a link that will take you to a bunch of Indeed resources. And one of the things that you can find when you click on that link is a list of national employers that are urgently hiring right now. So that'll be a great place to look. Again, I'll share that link at the end. You can also find it in the description for this live cast and in the top pinned comment. So if you are looking for a job, the way that Indeed works is that we collect all of the other job postings from the internet, and we also have postings that are listed only on Indeed. When you're looking for a job, you can start by creating or by updating your free Indeed account and resume. And then when you have that, you can browse positions by location in the search bar. You'll go to Indeed.com, it'll say what and where, and that'll get you started right there. Understandably, a lot of people are asking about remote work right now. Here's a question that we received on Indeed Community, which is our online career advice forum. This person asks, what are best practices for finding remote jobs? In general, are remote jobs available? Are there options to filter for part-time remote jobs, industry-specific jobs, etc.? So again, some good news here. We have seen over the last year that the share of job postings on Indeed that advertise for remote working arrangements or work from home has been steadily rising, and that trend has continued over the last couple of weeks. If you want to look for a remote job, go to Indeed. You can narrow down your search by entering remote in that location bar, so in that where section right there on the home page. That way you're only going to see listings that will allow you to work from home. And remember, when you do that, you can also filter by other categories: salary, part-time, full-time, if there's a specific company that you have in mind, experience level. So you can really start to narrow in on the jobs that are the best fit for you. Some folks have also asked how to tell if the jobs that they are interested in have been posted after COVID-19 impacted their region. One person asked, is Indeed doing anything to confirm these job postings with employers? How can I tell if a job posting is an after coronavirus job? This is a great question. Indeed is in constant communication with employers to make sure that the jobs online are up to date. And as you can imagine, we're doubling down on those efforts right now. So to give you an example, employers can now indicate on Indeed when they post a job whether that job is fully remote or if it is temporarily remote due to COVID-19. We're actually going to be making a few more updates on this front over the next couple of weeks. So again, I just urge you, check back in with us. We'll keep sharing those updates as they become available. Two more things that you can do on this front. First, if you want to see when a job was open, you can check the date at the bottom of the post. That's going to give you a good sense of how long the employer has been accepting applications for that particular position. Another thing that you can do is set up Indeed job alerts. And these job alerts will notify you when new jobs become available that meet your requirements. You can also customize these alerts to arrive as frequently as you'd like. You can pause them at any time if you want to do that. And after that, just keep applying for jobs and really think about tailoring your resume and your cover letter to the specific job that you're applying for. Please let me know if you have any questions about any of that. Put your questions in the comments, and we're happy to go into more detail about any of these steps if you're interested in learning more. Next week, we can share more about the job search and application process, how to prepare for a video interview, how to create a resume. We want this content to be as relevant for you as possible, so make sure to keep leaving those comments and questions for us. So now it is time for our tip of the week. And let me just start by saying, we know that for some of you right now, time is of the essence. And the most important thing is to find that next job as quickly as possible. If that is you, I would recommend checking out that list of employers that I mentioned before that is urgently hiring right now. And also perhaps think about jobs in some of those essential services, industries, sectors, companies that have a higher demand for employees right now. However, if you are someone who maybe in this moment you're taking a step back, you're looking for something different, you're thinking about remote work for the first time, I would really encourage you to think outside the box. And that brings me to our tip of the week. Don't underestimate your transferable skills. So what do I mean by that? Transferable skills are those strengths or qualities that you can bring with you from one role to the next. Those could be soft skills like customer service, or a hard skill like a software proficiency. When you are preparing to look for that next job, we recommend that you go through and just make a list of those hard skills, of those soft skills, where you felt like you really shined in your last role, and then take that with you as you look at different job postings that you find on Indeed. You might find that you are a match for something unexpected. So we have just a minute or two left here. I'm going to wrap up by going into a few more questions that folks have asked. And again, make sure to submit your questions down in the comments. So one question here, I had an interview, but then I heard the company was freezing the search. How do I respond to this? In a lot of those cases, the employer will contact you. If you are in the middle of a hiring process, it's not uncommon that your primary point of contact will reach back out and just give you an update saying, we've had to pause for right now, or unfortunately, we've had to eliminate that role. If you haven't heard something from like that from the employer, it is perfectly acceptable for you to proactively reach out to get more information. In that case, I would, again, just reach out to your primary contact, thank them for their time and their help throughout the process, and just ask. You've heard that they might be freezing hiring for this position. Can they share more information about the status and about the timeline? Okay, another question here. If I'm suddenly out of work due to the pandemic, should I be collecting unemployment insurance? I would absolutely recommend that you look into options for government support right now. If you are newly out of work, the simplest way to do that is to go online and search for unemployment insurance in the state that you live in. So if you are in Texas, for example, go online, Texas unemployment insurance. The first link that's going to come up there for you will be for the Department of Labor for the state of Texas or whatever state you're in. And that's going to give you a detailed list of eligibility requirements so you can understand whether or not you qualify for unemployment insurance right now. And it's also going to show you how you can go about applying. Even if you are someone who has not qualified for unemployment insurance in the past, I would absolutely recommend that you still go look and see if you might qualify now. A couple of weeks ago, the US government passed the CARES Act, and as part of that legislation, they updated eligibility requirements for unemployment insurance. So even if you didn't qualify before, it is possible that you qualify now. So go check that out, a really important resource for a lot of folks right now. If you want more information on applying for unemployment insurance, more information on any of the topics I talked about today, this is the moment when I'm going to point you to that resource center. We have a job seeker resource center with a bunch of information specific to looking for a job right now during COVID-19, working remotely, virtual interviews, a whole range of topics. And you can find all of that at www.indeed.com/here to help. So that's indeed.com/here to help. It's in the description, it's in the pinned comment, lots of good information there. All right, and with that, that is it for this live stream. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope you'll come back next week. We will share more on what's going on in the job market. We can dig in more deeply on searching for a job right now and answer some more of your questions. We hope to see you soon, and please remember, we are here to help.